Let's go swimming right now!
Swim? Where do you want to swim? Oh my God, the floor is covered in water! The flood is coming! Everybody evacuate!
Take the stairs and go up now.
Before we begin, please subscribe and share this story. Your support helps us grow and reach more people. Enjoy the story.
Mom, I want to swim. Dr. Maya smiled without opening her eyes. It was just after 7 o'clock on a quiet Saturday morning in Seoul. Outside, dark clouds covered the sky and rain tapped gently against the apartment windows. Still half asleep, Maya pulled the blanket over her shoulder. "Not now, Ethan," she mumbled. Mommy had a long shift yesterday. The little boy didn't move. Instead, he gently tapped her arm again. "Mom." This time, Maya opened one eye. Standing beside the bed was her 6-year-old son, Ethan. He looked almost exactly like his Korean father. Fair skin, straight black hair, dark almond-shaped eyes. Only his warm smile reminded Maya of herself. But something made her laugh. Ethan was wearing bright blue swimming goggles. Maya sighed and sat up. "Ethan, how many times have I told you? You only wear swimming goggles at the swimming pool." He shook his head seriously. "But Mommy, everywhere is a swimming pool." Maya chuckled. "Oh, really?" He nodded. "Yes." She smiled, kissed his forehead, removed the goggles, and placed them on the bedside table. Nice imagination. She had no idea those innocent words would become the most terrifying sentence she would ever hear. Dr. Maya was 28 years old. She had moved to South Korea nearly 9 years earlier to continue her medical education. She eventually became one of the youngest emergency physicians at one of Seoul's busiest hospitals. 2 years after arriving, she met Dr. Kang Min-jun, a kind, brilliant Korean trauma surgeon. They fell in love, married, and built a peaceful life together. Their greatest blessing came 6 years ago. Their son, Ethan. Although Ethan was half African and half Korean, anyone meeting him would immediately think he was fully Korean. He had inherited almost every feature from his father. Maya often joked that she had carried him for 9 months only to receive none of the credit. That morning, Min-jun wasn't home. A multi-vehicle accident on the highway had kept him at the hospital overnight. He had called around 4 in the morning. "I might not make it home until afternoon," Maya understood. Being married to another doctor meant unexpected nights apart. She wasn't worried. She had handled mornings alone many times before. Her phone suddenly started ringing. It was her mom calling. Maya smiled. She answered immediately. "Mama? My daughter." "You sound tired." "I am, but I'll survive." Her mother laughed. "And where is my grandson?" Maya looked toward the hallway. "I think he's planning to become a professional swimmer." Her mother laughed. "What has he done now?" "He's walking around the apartment wearing swimming goggles." Both women laughed together. Still talking on the phone, Maya walked toward the kitchen. She switched on the kettle, opened the refrigerator, reached for milk, then drip, drip, drip. She frowned. "Water?" She looked down. A small stream of water was running across the kitchen floor. She immediately checked the sink. It wasn't overflowing. She checked the washing machine. Nothing. Then the refrigerator. Still nothing. Then another strange sound echoed through the apartment. Splash. Maya slowly turned toward the living room. Water was trickling through the bottom edge of the balcony door. Her smile disappeared. "Mama, I'll call you back." She ended the call, walked toward the balcony, opened the curtain, and froze. Outside, the street had disappeared. Cars floated through rushing brown water. Traffic lights were almost completely submerged. People screamed while climbing onto buses. Motorcycles drifted away like toys. Store signs floated through the flooded streets. The rain was falling harder than ever. Maya couldn't breathe. What? What is happening? At that exact moment, her phone rang again. Unknown number. She answered immediately. Hello? A calm, male voice replied, Am I speaking with Dr. Maya? Yes. This is the emergency response coordinator from Seoul Central Hospital. Her heart skipped. Is my husband all right? Yes. Dr. Kang is safe. She closed her eyes with relief. But only for a second. Doctor, a flash flood has struck your district. Our emergency monitoring system shows water has already covered the entire ground floor of your apartment complex. Maya instinctively looked toward the hallway. The water is rising very quickly. If you're on the second floor, you must evacuate immediately. Do not use the elevator. Take the stairs. Our rescue teams are already on the way, if necessary. Helicopters will evacuate residents from the rooftop. Maya's hands began shaking. We have to leave. Now. She lifted Ethan into her arms, opened the apartment door, and stepped into chaos. People were shouting in Korean. Children were crying. Neighbors rushed through the hallway carrying bags, pets, and elderly relatives. The emergency alarm echoed through the building. Someone screamed. The water has reached the first floor, another shouted. Hurry! Move upstairs! Maya held Ethan's hand tightly. Don't let go. I won't, Mommy. The staircase ahead was completely packed. Dozens, then hundreds, of frightened residents struggled to climb upward. Some pushed dots, some cried, some prayed. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the stairwell. An elderly man collapsed halfway up the stairs. He struck his head against the concrete. People behind him stopped instantly. Those ahead couldn't move. Within seconds. The only escape route was completely blocked. The water below continued rising, fast. Maya looked at the unconscious man, then at the terrified crowd, then at the flood climbing toward the stairs. She took a deep breath. She wasn't just a frightened mother anymore. She was an emergency doctor. And in the next few moments, everyone would be looking to her. The entire stairwell fell silent. Dozens of frightened residents stared at the unconscious elderly man lying across the narrow staircase to no one knew what to do. Behind them, muddy floodwater continued climbing the building one step at a time. Maya gently knelt beside the man. Please, everyone, give me some space. Although many couldn't understand English, the fear in her voice and the confidence in her movements made them step back. A young Korean woman quickly translated, She's a doctor. Immediately, the crowd became quiet. Maya placed 2 fingers against the man's neck, a pulse. Weak. She examined the wound on his forehead. Blood flowed down the side of his face. He had likely hit the concrete when he collapsed. Does anyone have water? A teenage boy handed her a bottle. Thank you. She cleaned the wound as quickly as possible. The man's breathing suddenly became shallow. Maya gently tilted his head. Come on, stay with me. A few tense seconds passed. Then, the man coughed. His eyelids slowly opened. A wave of relief spread through the crowd. Several people burst into applause. The young translator smiled. He'll be okay. Maya looked around. We can't stay here. The water is rising. We have to keep moving. With the crowd working together, they carefully lifted the elderly man to his feet. People who had been strangers only minutes earlier began helping one another. A young office worker carried an elderly woman on his back. A college student held the hands of 2 frightened children. One neighbor gathered everyone's backpacks so families could move more quickly. Fear was slowly turning into teamwork. Then, the lights went out. The building became almost completely dark. Children screamed. Only emergency lights glowing faintly along the walls remained. A loud metallic crack echoed somewhere below. The building trembled. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Someone shouted, "The first floor has collapsed!" Panic returned instantly. People began pushing again. "No!" Maya shouted. "If we panic, more people will get hurt." Her calm voice cut through the chaos. Everyone stopped. Even Ethan looked proudly at his mother. The group climbed another flight of stairs, then another. By the time they reached the 4th floor, the stairwell door refused to open. Someone pulled. Another kicked it. Nothing. The frame had twisted under pressure. They were trapped. Water continued rising below. Several residents began crying. One woman whispered, "We're going to die." Maya refused to believe it. She scanned the hallway. Her eyes stopped on a red emergency evacuation map mounted on the wall. She walked closer, studied it carefully, then smiled. "There is another staircase." Everyone looked at her. "It starts from the east corridor. It's longer, but it leads directly to the rooftop." Hope returned to their faces. The final rooftop door came into view. People rushed toward it. It was locked. A heavy emergency security lock prevented it from opening. One man repeatedly kicked the door. Rain continued pouring. The sound of helicopter blades echoed faintly in the distance. "They're here!" The rescue helicopter circled overhead, but the pilots couldn't see them. The rooftop door remained closed. Maya looked around, then spotted a fire emergency cabinet mounted beside the wall. Inside, a bright red fire axe. She grabbed it, took one deep breath, and swung. Glass shattered. She swung again. Metal bent. Again and again. Finally, the emergency lock snapped. The rooftop door flew open. A roar of wind and rain rushed inside. Everyone cheered. The rooftop was crowded within minutes. Rain lashed against their faces. The helicopter hovered overhead. Strong winds made landing impossible. Instead, a rescue officer lowered a thick rope, one by one. Children were lifted first, then elderly residents, then injured survivors. Exactly as Maya had hoped. The rescue team leaders shouted through a loudspeaker, "We only have room for 5 more!" People looked around nervously. There were 6 adults left. Without hesitation, Maya stepped back. "Take the others." The rescue officer looked confused. "What about you? There are older people here." "They go first." Just then, the elderly man whose life Maya had saved slowly stepped forward. He pointed toward her. His voice trembled. "This doctor, she saved all of us. If anyone deserves to leave, it's her." One by one, the other residents nodded. A young mother spoke next. "Without her, we would never have reached the roof." The rescue officer smiled. "Doctor, you're coming too." As the helicopter lifted into the gray sky, Maya looked down through the open doorway. Entire neighborhoods had disappeared beneath muddy floodwaters. Roads looked like rivers. Buses floated between apartment buildings. The city she loved had become almost unrecognizable. Ethan rested quietly against her chest, still wearing his little swimming goggles. "Everywhere is a swimming pool." A tear rolled down her cheek, not because she was afraid anymore, but because they had survived. The helicopter landed safely at an emergency evacuation center. As Maya stepped onto the ground, someone ran toward her. "Maya!" She turned. It was Min Jun. His face was pale with worry. He wrapped both Maya and Ethan in a tight embrace. For several seconds, none of them spoke. They simply held one another, thankful, alive. Days later, news reports across South Korea praised the courage of an African doctor who had remained calm during one of Seoul's worst floods. Residents called her the doctor who saved the stairwell. But when reporters asked Maya how she felt about becoming a hero, she smiled gently and shook her head. "I wasn't trying to be a hero. I was simply doing what any mother and any doctor would hope to do." Sometimes true courage isn't about being fearless. It's about choosing to help others even when you're afraid. Because in life's darkest storms, The greatest heroes are often ordinary people who refuse to give up. If Maya's story touched your heart, subscribe for more emotional stories filled with love, courage, and unexpected twists. And before you go, comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We'll see you in the next story.